He came from the hush of a muse-born dawn, where Calliope's breath shaped the first song. A child of strings and a mother's old rhyme, he learned the law of silence before his time. Apollo's hand laid a lyre in his palm, a ribbon of sunlight, a promise of calm. When he plucked the first note, the grasses leaned in, and the world like a listener folded its skin.
Lost amid how the river leaned to hear, stones held their breath, the wind drew near.
When the golden string is plucked, the world holds its breath. Leaves fall in silence and time forgets death. The meadow bows low to the voice of the dawn. The song is a law, and the law is not gone. When the golden string is plucked, the sky leans to hear a single bright thread that will bind what is dear. She moved like a secret the sunlight kept, a pale blossom where the shadows slept. The quiet one turned where the lyre called her name, and the forest remembered the world before flame. He sang of small things, of bread, rain, of home. She answered in silence, a hush like foam. Two breaths in a clearing, two hearts in a ring. The song made a promise the morning could sing.
A torch that coughs into smoke at the edge of the feast, a coil beneath the grass where the green is least. Spur it low, let the ember not wake. Name not the shadow that waits for the break.
When the golden string is plucked, the world holds its breath. Even the stones keep the secret of meadow bows low to the voice of the dawn. When the light is withdrawn, when the golden string is plucked, the sky leans to hear a single bright thread that trembles with fear.
Sun on her shoulder, dew in her hair. She moves like a secret the morning keeps there. Meadow daughter, pale blossom in green, a hush in the clearing where sunlight has been. Her laughter is small as a bell in the grass, white where the shadows pass. Sisters encircle, they weave and they spin, guarding the quiet that lives in her
The
skin.
river leaned to listen, the stag held its breath, all things bent toward the hush of her stead.
Two breaths in a clearing, two hearts in a ring. A song met a silence and taught it to sing. The golden hand called and the pale blossom came, light braided with light, and the world learned their names. Two breaths in a clearing, a promise like dawn, a thread pulled between them that could not be undone.
He sang of small things, bread, rain, and the road. She answered in petals, in shade, and in ode.
He gave her a line,
And she gave him a look, a page in a story no scholar had booked. No vows, no altar, just the hush of the trees, a promise that lit where the wildflowers lean.
two names in the grass, two lights in the green. A torch at the edge that coughs into smoke, a small shadow coiled where the green is most woke. Let the ember lie low, let the meadow keep secrets the daylight should know. Two breaths in a clearing, two hearts in a ring. The golden hand's music made the whole meadow sing. The pale blossom ash and a flame, a single bright thread that would carry a name. Two breaths in a clearing, the promise held on, a light for the morning, a song for the dawn. On shoulders, bread on the board, the meadow is full and the bells are poured. Sisters encircle, the wine runs like sun, the pale blossom dances, the vows have begun. The pale blossom dances, the vows have begun. The golden hand stands with a lyre at his side, a ribbon of dawn and a promise of bride. Laughter like river, the world in a ring, two breaths in a clearing, the meadow will sing. Torch at the altar that coughs into smoke, a hush that the laughter cannot quite choke.
We bind with a ribbon, we bind with a song, we call the bright morning to carry us on. But a spark in the grass and a whisper of coil, a shadow that waits where the green is most loyal. We dance for the dawn and we dream is most loyal. We dance for the dawn and we drink for the day at the end. Yet the ember remembers the cold in its way. A herdsman with empty hands watched the circle inside. He reached for a longing he could not hide. The one who reaches move like a wind in the wheat. A glance at the pale blossom, a foot in retreat. She fled through the flowers with skirts at her knee. She fled through the flowers with skirts at her knee. A laugh turned to breath and a foot to the lead. No malice, no thunder, a step in the dance. A coil in the grass that would end the romance.
A coil beneath clover, a fang in the shade, a breath that was stolen, a promise unmade. She fell like a bell that has lost its ring. The meadow went silent, the world stopped to sing. When the golden string is plucked, the world holds its breath. But when the pale blossom falls, the world tastes of death.
The torch coughs and sputters, the garlands go still. A single bright thread snaps under fate's will. Two breaths in a clearing, now one in the dust. A hush for the living, a hush for the trust. He cradled the quiet like a shard of the sun. A song without answer, a name left undone. The river leaned to listen and found no reply. He held the pale blossom like a shard of sun, fingers that trembled where the light had run. The meadow went hollow, the laughter fell thin. Two breaths in a clearing, now one in the wind. He sang to the grasses, he sang to the stone. He called every river as if it were home. But the river leaned to listen and gave him no word, only the echo of silence, the hush of a bird.
Leaves let go of their green, the sky learned to grieve. Even the gods in their high halls could not help but believe.
When the golden string is plucked, the world used to breathe. Now the golden string trembles and pulls at the wreath. A song for the living, a song for the lost. He will trade his daylight for whatever the cost. When the golden string is plucked, the law will be heard. Voice for the dead and a vow for the word. He walked to the edge where the shadows begin, where the ferryman waits with his oar and his tin. Take me, he sang, to the place of the night, where the queen of return may soften the blight. The gods looked down with a pitying eye, even Calliope's breath could not make her cry. He wrapped his song round his chest like a cloak, and stepped where the living are not meant to go.
Remember the meadow, he whispered to air. Remember the laughter, the bell and the prayer. A torch that coughs in the memory of flame, a coil in the grass that will keep its name.
When the golden string is plucked, the world holds its breath. He walks with a promise that bargains with death. The river leaned to listen and did not reply, so he will cross the Styx where the oars scrape the sky. When the golden string is plucked, the law will be sworn, a living man walking where the dead are born. The ferryman's toll is a whisper of stone. He came to the river where oaths are kept cold, where the water remembers the names of the old. An oar cut the dark and the ferrymen stared, eyes like two coins and a silence that bared. Pay the ferryman's toll, the hush seemed to say, give the song and the coin and the dead of the day. He laid down his lyre and he laid down his plea, a golden string trembling like a leaf on the sea. Or on the water a whisper of stone, the ferryman counts what the living have thrown. Pay the ferryman's toll, sing the law of the deep. Let the river remember the promises we keep. When the golden string is plucked in the shadow of night, even the dead will listen and bend to the light. Pay the ferryman's toll, let the oar find the keel, a living man walking where silence is real. Three throats that are hunger, three eyes that are cold, a growl like a mountain that guards every soul. He sang not to frighten, but sang to appease, a lullaby braided with old patient pleas. The three-threaded watcher lay down its head, the fields of asphodel soften their bed. Shades turn their faces and lean to the sound, a hush like a harvest that gathers the ground.
From the throne of return came a hand and a hush, Persephone's breath like the thaw after crush. Sing for the living, she said with a tear, sing for the one who will not bow to fear.
Sing for the one who will not bow to fear. Pay the ferryman's toll, sing the law of the deep. The river remembers the promises we keep. When the golden string is plucked in the shadow of night, in the den to listen, the dark told and long. He crossed with a promise, a thread in his hand, the ferryman's toll fading into the land. Walk to the throne where the night keeps its law, where the crown of the shadow weighs heavy and raw. Hades on his basalt, eyes like a gate, Persephone at his side with a sorrowful weight.
He laid down his loud, his lair, and he opened his chest, a song for the living, a plea for the rest.
Remember the meadow, the name. Remember the laughter before the flame. Shades drew their cloaks, the Furies held breath. Even the judges of night leaned close to the death. Hear me, O Queen of the return and the sea. Hear me, O Lord of the stone and the need. I bring no coin, only a golden string, a song for the one who once made the dawn sing. Let the pale blossom fall the thread of my tune. Let the river remember the name of the moon. Hades spoke like winter, a law carved in bone. No living may lead a living back to the sun. The Styx is a witness, the oath is a chain, yet mercy is not absent from the halls of the slain.
Persephone rose like thaw after frost, her hand on the lyre where the promise was lost. Go, she said, but keep your eyes on the road. Look not behind until both have crossed. Walk with your song and do not turn, for one glance will unmake what the gods have learned. Trust the thread that the music will weave. Trust the breath that the living still need. Hear me, O Queen, hear me, O King. I will walk the dark and I will not bring a single doubt to the threshold of light. I will keep my face to the forward side. Let the pale blossom fall the thread of my tune. Let the river remember the name of the moon.
Pay the ferryman's toll, the ferryman's toll. A living man tear like a thaw from the death. Step after step on the tunnel of stone, he kept his face to the dark and the road he had known. The lyre at his shoulder, a thread in his hand, a living man walking toward the edge of the land. Behind him a silence that answered in breath. The pale blossom followed a shadow of death. He heard only heartbeats and the scrape of the way. Two breaths in a clearing, now walking the clay.
Do not look back, do not turn, do not name. The law is a whisper that tightens like flame.
Walk on, golden hand, keep the string to the light. Walk on through the hush and the long hollow night. She follows in silence, she follows in trust. But the dark is a mirror that breathes into dust. Walk on, golden hand, let the music be law. Do not look back for the shadow you saw. He counted the stones and he counted the stars. He counted the distance between wounds and scars. A footstep behind him that sounded like two, a whisper that might be a promise or rue. Was it breath or a trick or a phantom of prayer? The coil in the grass was a memory made, a torch that had coughed and a promise that frayed.
Do not look back, the words like a drum. Do not look back, the law and the sum. Do not look back, the breath at your heel. Do not look back, do not break what is real.
He felt a small hand like a moth at his sleeve, a warmth that was real and a warmth he could grieve. One step from the surface, one step from the sun, a thread pulled so thin that it trembled and spun.
Do not look back.
One step from the morning, one step from the sun, stone at his feet, and the last road begun. The golden string trembled like breath on a glass, a thread pulled so thin that it feared it would pass. Behind him a silence that answered in air. The pale blossom followed with no voice to spare. He felt the small warmth like a moth at his sleeve, a promise that trembled and begged him to leave.
Do not look back, do not turn, do not name. The law is a whisper that tightens like flame.
He walked to the doorway where daylight would pour. He walked with a vow and a song at his core, a breath like the shadow with reaching pale ghost, a thread in the dark and the thing he loved most. He turned for a heartbeat, he turned for a doubt. She reached for the daylight and reached for the sea. He met her in silence and met her in shade, a name on his lips that the daylight forbade. Her face was a memory, her breath was a bell. She reached and she faltered and fell into well. Farewell she might say, or I love you, or none. A sound like a closing, a last little sun. Let the line be a hush, let the final be small. Let the world learn the silence that answers the call. He turned and the thread snapped and the daylight was bare. The pale blossom faded like smoke on the air. Two breaths in a clearing became one in the dust, a promise undone by a tremor of trust. He reached for the echo and found only the sky. He stood at the threshold with hands full of night, a song without answer, a world without word, only the coil in the grass and the hush of the bird. He walks with a shadow that answers his name, a golden hand hollowed by grief and by flame. No heart will hold him, no bed will keep. He sleeps with the memory that will not let him sleep. He sings to the foxes, he sings to the stone, a hymn for the absent, a dirge for the known.
The meadow remembers two breaths in the ring,
now only the echo of one in the spring.
Men close their doors, the children look down. The dogs come to follow the man with no crown. The dogs come to follow the man with no crown. Sing on, golden hand, sing the name of the lost. Let the music be hunger, let the music be frost. Sing on, golden hand, let the wild come to hear. Let the beast be your witness and the night be your beer. Let no other love bide, for the song is your kingdom and sorrow your kind.
A stag bowed its antlers and followed his pace. A river ran quieter to hear the thin grace. Children were warned with a finger and hush. Mothers pulled curtains and turned from his brush. He fed on of absence with nothing to take. The coil in the grass and the torch that had coughed lay like small relics of what he had lost.
Persephone's whisper like thaw in his ear. Trust the thread she had said and keep what is dear. He keeps only the thread now, frayed at the seam, a golden string broken, a half-spoken dream.
Sing on, golden hand, let the wild come to hear. Let the beast be your witness and the night be your beer. Sing on, golden hand, let no other love bind, for the song is your kingdom and sorrow your kind.
They say the Maenads watched with wine in their hands. They say the world trembled at the edge of the lands. A voice without answer, a name without plea. came with wine on their lips and a hunger in hand. The maenads of the mountain, the wild of the land. He turned from their calling, he turned from their flame. A golden hand hollowed and heavy with name. They danced like a tempest, they danced like a knife. They tore at the silence that held his life. No altar, no mercy, no pleading of song. Only the frenzy that says the world must belong. Wine and wreath, shout and tear. The world unravels what sorrow will wear. They took him in pieces, they took him in rage. They wrote his last music on the edge of the stage. Sing on, golden hand, sing the name of the lost. Let the river remember the price of the cost. Sing on, golden hand, though the body is gone. Let the lyre keep singing until the stars take it on. They cast his head to the river, his lyre to the foam. A voice in the current that would not go home. It bobbed like a lantern, it sang like a bell. A fragment of daylight that would not unwell. Down the Styx it wandered, down the water still singing. The meadow still calling her name. The river leaned to listen and carried the tune. A small bright lament beneath the pale moon.
Zeus looked from his thunder and Apollo from light. They heard the small music that floated the night. Lift, lifted, said the thunderer.
Let the heavens keep score, let the heavens keep score.
Said the string in the sky, so the song is no more. Apollo took the lyre and set it to flame. A constellation born from a broken name. Sing on, golden hand, sing the name of the lost. The lyre in the heavens will count every cost. Sing on, golden hand, let the wild be at peace. Your music is memory, your music string flies. A bright little lyre hung high in the skies.
The saints still sang as it drifted away, a last little chorus that would not decay.
Now the meadow remembered, and the sky keeps the string where the bright stars sing.